Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, help me find the way forward for my life. I am not sure what to do next, so I ask you to give me wisdom and confidence, as well as understanding. Thank you for your plans for me are always good. Help me to trust you to guide me and to be patient, waiting for you to open new doors of opportunity. Amen. Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai. Call Halayim La Alahaya Nawa Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakakodash Tawada Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Shema Yasha'ala Yahweh Alahaya Nawa Yahweh Akud Shema Yasha'ala Yahweh Alahaya Nawa Yahweh Akud Shema Yasha'ala Yahweh Alahaya Nawa Yahweh Akud. I want to thank you for waking me up this morning, letting me see another day that wasn't promised but was given to me through your grace and mercy, which endures forever. Dwadi Yahweh Bashim Yashai, for allowing me to continue to have your presence when I wake up, to continue to give you the praise, honor, and glory which is rightly deserved. I want to thank you for the brothers of GMS who started this truth, Salakia, who's given me this truth, as well as who allowed me to continue in this truth through your spirit and through your grace and your mercy, which endures forever. Double honors to the elder apostles as well, the elder bishops of Great Millstone as well. I just want to come to you and not necessarily, this is not really a lesson. More so a testimony, as well as a dream, which was brought to my attention through the grace, through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Yahshai, given the circumstances, Salakia, given the circumstances of where I was at. Now, I'm not the one to tell my business and my personal life, but given being able to tell this testimony, I have to tell where I was at and how I was able to receive this testimony and why I was able to receive this testimony through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. Okay, now it didn't come to me, it came to another individual, and I believe through the spirit of me believing in Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, not only me, my family, my loved ones, my immediate loved ones, my wife, okay, and you know, my brothers that believe in this truth, you know, and my stepdaughter, okay, and like I said, my immediate family. I believe through this brother's dream, the Lord was speaking to me, because this individual does not know who Yahweh Shem Yahushai was, although I did tell him, and given the circumstances, why I believe what I believe, okay. But long story short, before I get into this testimony or dream/testimony, the Lord has been dealing with me the way He wanted to, all right, and I haven't been the way I should have been when it comes to this truth, and the Lord had to show me the way He wanted to show me that I've been slipping away, all right. So I ended up going to jail. Okay, and while I was in there, the Lord showed me through another individual what's to come, and just pretty much show me not really what's to come, because I already know what's to come, but at the same time to let me know that, you know, show me a sign through someone else. All right. Now, like I said, I'm not the one to sit there and tell my business, but this needed to be brought out. This needed to be said. Although I didn't want to say where I was at. All right, but anyway, the Lord used this individual who I was in the same room with at the time. All right, to get to me, I believe, and he had a dream. And when he told me that dream, I instantly knew that I had to write it down. I had to have him to repeat what he was telling me, because even before I had, went into that situation, this was pretty much being broadcasted on the news, as far as on TV and on the news, as far as, the nations and Russia and I'm not sure if it was China or North Korea, but pretty much be an alliance, amongst each other. And the dream that he had while we was in the same room, cell room, whatever you want to say. I really don't want to say cell, but the Lord used him, and he was able to tell me what he dreamed of, and I instantly knew that was the Lord. To me, I believe that was the Lord speaking to me, but he used that brother, which is a Jake, to tell me, that dream that he had. And from there, I went ahead and wrote everything down that he told me. Now, it's not that long, obviously the Lord deals with, when it comes to dreams, however he sees fit as far as time is concerned. But I was able to write down, what he told me and what he remembered that dream to be. All right. And I wrote it down. And this is what this testimony is pretty much going into. All right. This happened during the month of May. I was in there during the month of May, and so yeah, pretty much I'm just gonna write down what I had took from the dream that the Lord put on his spirit, and I'm gonna take that and run with it, because I believe through the spirit in my heart that for me to be an individual who believes in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, I mean, the Lord used him to talk to me, to let me know how serious, how close that we are when it comes to this truth. All right. And there's no time for games. There's no times for F-ups. Okay. And I take it as this was the Lord showing me that what you're doing now, you need to get put on the back burner and focus on what's truly what's at hand here, and what's most important. Okay, because I was doing right to an extent, and the Lord showed me and put me in a position to where you going astray, you falling astray. All right. And you need to get back on to where I had you. And I believe that he used me getting pulled over, you know what I'm saying, and brought to the situation that I was brought to realize, come back before it's too late. All right. Not only that, but to use this brother, which is a Jake, to have that dream, to talk to me about it, and me to know the truth and what's at stake here. All right. And to bring it back once I got out to whoever listens to this video, whoever gets edified, whoever he wants, to listen to this video. All right. So this is my testimony off another brother who's not in this truth, but the Lord used him through his spirit in a dream, and he relayed that dream back to me. All right. So this happened. The dream, he said, at the time that he told me the day that he told me, it was May 14th. All right. But it happened. He said when it happened, it was 2 days before the day that he told me, which would be the 12th. All right. So that night on May the 12th, this year, 2023, he had this dream that the Lord had placed on his heart, which was brought back to me 2 days after he had the dream. And it came out of nowhere. We wasn't even talking about the Lord. It was just, he just brought it to my attention. All right. And that's how I know it was the Lord, working how he works. But, and I had to write it down. So if it sounds like I'm reading off of something, I am. Okay. Because I had to write down. It was the only way I was going to be able to remember it, was to write it down. It's not verbatim everything that he said. I put it in my own words to the best way I could, but it was told to me, and I wrote it down the best way I could to give, anybody who listens to this video, an understanding of what the Lord put on his heart at that time to reach to me. All right. So this happened May 12, 2023. The dream was, but he told me 2 days after, which was May 14th. All right. So my cellmate had a dream about I believe it was either North Korea or China. Okay. Now, and the only reason why, and I'm going to go into it, but the only reason why he said it was North Korea. Okay. But I remember him saying that it was like green outfits. Okay. They had a waistband around from their shoulder down to their waist with guns strapped to it. All right. A dream about either North Korea or China flying some planes over Louisiana. Okay. Now, I stay in Louisiana. I'm not going to say exactly what city. All right. But I stay in Louisiana. All right. And when this dream happened, he said that he was in Louisiana. He remembers exactly certain buildings and certain parts of the city where he was at, and he remembers and he knows that it was Louisiana. All right. So those planes that was flying over Louisiana, those individuals who had flew over Louisiana, they had dark green outfits with a red symbol belt around their shoulders to their waistline. All right. He said they had masks on and they covered their whole face, and the only thing that you could see was their eyes. All right. So like, they had masks on, and the only thing that they could see was their eyes. All right. And these planes that flew over were about 200 feet, give or take, 200 feet from the buildings that were being flown over. All right. Not only that these individuals that was flying over the planes, or that was flying over these buildings, they let ladders out of these planes. They had the Chinese flag, okay, on the symbol of the planes, or North Korean flags, I believe. Whoever, okay, I believe, I like I said, I can't remember exactly, but whoever pretty much are against us, who made an alliance with Russia, that's who it was. Okay. And they let down ladders out of these planes, and you had a numerous amount of individuals come down these ladders, and onto the ground, okay, and U.S. soil, and with ARs, okay, with ARs, you know what I'm saying, and started to just shoot at any and everybody, whoever was in the vicinity, whoever was in their eyesight, the gun sight, they shot. They didn't care. They didn't ask questions. Man, woman, child, they just started shooting. Okay. Let me see. Salaki for that. Like I said, I wrote it down, and the only way I could bring this to anybody was for me to write it down. So, bear with me as I try to bring forth more of the the dream that this brother had. He said they had masks on that covered their whole face, and you could only see their eyes. He said he believed that they were coming for the Air Force Base. Okay, now where I stay at, okay, the Air Force Base is supposedly, the second biggest Air Force base in the world. All right. So he said he believed that they were coming for the Air Force Base, at least to start off in that area, as far as killing individuals or whatever they had planned on was to hit the Air Force Base first. Okay. Let me see. He said he told me the dream happened in broad daylight, and he was hanging out with a friend when he saw a couple of those planes, those planes that flew down, that opened the door of the planes and dropped down those ladders, and it was a numerous amount of individuals who came down those ladders and instantly started shooting once they got onto U.S. soil, whoever was in their way. Okay, he saw them fly over some buildings that was like at least 200 feet. All right, so he was able to see, the symbol, the flag, on those planes when they flew over. All right, like I said, it was him and his homeboy, and they was just talking. It was a regular day, and they was just talking. All right, and that those planes just so happened to fly over them. All right. Let me see. Slack here, give me a second. Okay, so when they saw those planes fly over those, certain buildings, all right, they started to run. All right, seeing those individuals come out of those planes, coming down a ladder, and shooting any and everybody, in the vicinity. All right, 144 Salakia Brakate Habashim Yashab Bashim Kavadash. All right, and they started to run, but his friend that he was with ended up getting shot. All right, and I believe he told me that his friend got shot in the leg, but what his friend did was he just laid there, all right, because there was so many of them that he didn't want to get back up and start to run, any further than where he was already at. So he chose to just lay there and play dead as those individuals, came, past him and up to him as far as that was concerned, and to, bypass him. And he went ahead and just laid down and played dead. Meanwhile, he, the individual who's telling me this dream, he told me that he kept running, and he knew if he were to turn back and try to pick him up, he would be dead. So he had no choice but to leave him down there. I don't believe he knew at the time that he had got shot. All right. But at the same time, he did tell me that he believed that he was shot. All right. His friend was shot. All right. Let me see here. Shootings and everybody within seeing the both. Okay. And that's from that, after his friend getting shot, all right, he ended up the dream, the scene changed. All right. That's what he told me. He said from that the scene had changed. All right. And that was just the beginning the beginning part of the dream. All right. And then the second part, going into the dream, the scene had changed where he was running into an abandoned building. All right. Now, granted, as we already know, these dreams, they don't happen the way we want them to happen. We don't expect it to happen the way we want it to happen. They just happen. All right. So, and this is all of the Lord's doing, as the scripture goes into, roughly paraphrasing, that the Lord, deals and gives us, dreams while we're sleeping, and we wake up and have those dreams. We have those dreams while we're sleeping. All right, but that's how he, when it comes to a dream, the sleep is us sleeping is where he, he gives us those dreams. So here I have the scene changed, as he told me. It says where he was running into an abandoned building where he met someone with a gun. So obviously someone that already had that seen what was going on, you know what I'm saying, and was, hiding as well and fending for his life as well. All right, he so happened to run into an individual, which was a man. He already had a gun. All right, it says into an abandoned building where he met someone with a gun, and the guy told him to follow him into a building where they killed a uniformed soldier. So one of those dudes, I forget, like he said, I don't know if it was, so happened to be the so-called Asians or so-called Japanese or so-called Korean, not really Japanese like it, but so-called Korean. All right, they ended up, taking his life and taking his gun and his uniform and dressing up as one of them. All right. All right, and from there, that scene changed. All right, and the last scene that he had, because he said it wasn't, too long, but he said the last scene that he had, the scene changed one more time after that, after he had switched into those clothes and taken, his weapon and whatnot. It said that there were soldiers. What he remembered was there were soldiers in that building that they had ended up going into. There were soldiers that was close to the building that he was at, all right, that were throwing lethal weapons into trailers, into buildings, open windows, closed windows, whatever the case may be. They were throwing lethal weapons, all right, like grenades, flash grenades, Semtex, anything that was able to get thrown into windows and to blow up, as far as that is concerned, that's what they were doing. Okay, lethal weapons, trailers, small homes, whatever the case may be. Those individuals who were hiding in those buildings and those trailers, didn't think that, just trying to save their lives and trying to hide somewhere wherever they could, the only decision that they had, at the time was to run into those type of small buildings. All right, and you had those individuals that were throwing lethal weapons, lethal grenades, lethal frags, flash grenades, stun grenades, tear gas, whatever they was, whatever that they had, coming into those houses that they were throwing into those buildings, those trailers, those small buildings, and they were killing people. Is what he remembered. Is what he said to me, that they were killing people, throwing those grenades and Semtexes and whatever, at the time, just killing people that was in their area, to an extent. All right. And they were innocent bystanders. All right. Anybody that was in their vicinity, they didn't have a care, all right, of who they were, what they were doing there. All they know was, all was pretty much was told to them was to kill. All right. And that was pretty much the dream, I'm guessing he woke up. Like I said, he didn't tell me this dream until, 2 days after that he had this dream, and I didn't know nothing of it until he brought it to my attention. But me knowing this truth and understanding, to an extent, to what the Lord allowed me to understand, that I believe by the Lord giving him this dream is showing me how much close we are, how close we really are. Okay. And this dude was somebody that I was, we shared the same, we shared the same cell, we shared the same room. All right. It wasn't that he was, in another room and sharing it with somebody else. The Lord used this man to I believe that the Lord used this man to get to my attention. Okay, to grasp my attention, to know that not only are you here in this circumstance, but I'm gonna show you and tell you through this individual, all right, how close we really are to leaving this place, how close we really are to seeing the Lord, if we're able to see him in that time when he comes. All right. And not only that, but to show us how close we really are to the end. All right, because this individual who told me this is a 2/3, obviously. All right, not only that, but the Lord deals with everybody a certain way. All right, and through the Spirit, I believe the Lord used him to get to me, while I was in there. So yeah, man, this is really just a testimony of what's to come. The Lord pretty much showing any and everything when it comes to this truth, and with this truth being concerned, where we stand, because once the Lord takes the prophets, his men off these streets, it's a wrap. There's no going back from that. So even with the dreams that the Lord allows, these individuals to have, whether it be me, someone who's not in this truth, man or female, it's going to happen, on the Lord's terms. All right. So yeah, man, that's I just wanted to bring that out, bring out this, this dream, this testimony that the Lord allowed us, at least, allow me to speak on, and to bring it to whoever listens to this video, whoever he allows to listen, to this video, to their attention, that we really are that much close, what I'm saying? And that was the way I look at it, as that was the way the Lord was speaking to me. And he didn't have to speak to me, physically or mentally or spiritually. He used someone else, to grasp my attention of me being in that, in that jail. All right. Not only that, but to realize the situation that's what's at hand, and how I could easily just lose everything. All right, behind me being pulled over on my way home, and things of such sort. It could have been much worse, but in the meantime, in between time, while I was there, the Lord allowed another individual through his spirit to bring forth that dream that he had. You know what I'm saying? And I believe through the Spirit that by me being in that his mate, his cellmate, his roommate, sharing that same, that same room, the Lord used him to get to me, because I believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. And I told him, you're gonna have individuals who believe in what they believe in, and whatever the case may be, but as long as you plant that seed, you've done your job. All right. And the Lord's gonna allow whoever, whenever, however, for that individual to believe in him, on him, or to be cursed by it. I don't know if the Lord allowed that individual to be cursed by it, or to not to be cursed by it, but to receive the truth, and using me as a person to tell him what's at stake here when it comes to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. But I don't want to ramble on. Like I said, this video was really more so a testimony on of an individual who had spoken to me while we was conjured up together, and through the Lord's Spirit, those individuals were able to talk and relay the message through the Spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So With that, I just want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bakakwadash. Double honors to my elder apostles, what the elder bishops, a great millstone who taught me the truth and continue to teach me the truth. Peace and blessings to the whole elect. And with that, I want to say Kwame Yasharallah and Abba Baba. Shalom.